So you've got some short stories. You're ready to send them out. Where are you going to send them out? Right? You can just set your heart in a few big famous places, but that tends to be a bad strategy because if you only know if you've only heard of three or four magazines, those are the magazines everybody else in the world has also heard about and thinks of sending first. So that you do the math, English major. You do the math. Every every editor will tell you that the most important thing is to read their magazine or journal before you send to it. And this is both true and impossible. There are hundreds of them. How can you read them all? You can't. And you're often on a student or young writer budget. How are you going to do this? Well, there are ways. First of all, let me make an analogy. When we talk about needing to read the places like the magazines you're sending to, it's like this. Imagine you're in a music group, that you have a music act and you're playing clubs and bars. Now, you as a professional don't need to be a regular customer of every single club and bar you look for work at because you're a pro, right? It's not like a gimmick. Like you don't need to like. It doesn't have to be the place where you drink. They don't all have to be the place where you drink on the regular. But you need to know what kind of acts they book, don't you? Don't go into a hip hop club with your free jazz extravaganza. That is going to be a hard no. Don't go to a jazz club with your cutting edge hip hop either. Also, a hard no. If you do, an octopus will attack your face. Oh no, an octopus attacking your face. Right? And in the same way, now, a lot of people swear by kind of market lists online, and there are online kind of market listing tools. I use some of them, and there are books you can buy. These are helpful only to an extent. They're good at giving you like addresses and websites and giving you say like submission windows, so those can change fast. It's often out of date, and rules like like length limits that a magazine is interested in. They publish those, and everything everything on the in the guidelines you should follow. If they say they don't want anything longer than 5,000 words, don't send them something 1,500 words long. It's just a reason to tell you no, wasting everybody's time. Here's the thing, though. Those lists are not a substitute for actually knowing what gets published there, and the descriptions in the list will not help you. The the unfortunate person who's trying to bring his free-form jazz extravaganza almost entirely without percussion to the hip hop club could look at a listing and say, yeah, traditional African American community music. Well, yeah, but is that hip hop? Is that jazz? Is that African drum circles? You would actually have to know who the club books. What other acts do they book? That is what you need to know. You need to read some stories in the magazines you're sending to. You absolutely do. Or you're going to be, to flip it around. So, many years ago, a someone who was doing a kind of folk inspired rock act with deep folk roots got booked into a famous folk club in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in Harvard Square, where lots of his heroes had played. And he showed up with his electric guitar and the E Street Band and was told, no, Mr. Springsteen, hit the road. This is an all acoustic club. Yes, I know Dylan's electric now, but he wasn't when he played here. And and they didn't make an exception. That's not a knock on the club. They actually don't have the space or the power grid or the considerate neighbors or the patience of the neighbors to put the E Street Band in that little coffee house space. So you don't want to be the person showing up with the electric guitar to the folk club or showing up with your little folk set to the rock club. Don't be that person. It wastes everybody's time, including and maybe especially yours. So, what do? You can subscribe, though you don't have a lot of money. You can be in a class like mine that makes you subscribe to one. First of all, if you're going to subscribe, make your subscription dollars last. Next year, subscribe to another magazine, not the one you subscribed to this year. The year after that, another magazine, right? Definitely read the year of the magazine you got. Subscribing and not reading doesn't do anything for you in research terms. Read it. But if you've read a full year of a journal, you're starting to get a pretty serious sense of what they publish and what they don't. And ask yourself, what do I like about this? Who is publishing stories that feel like my stories, that feel like they're speaking of the things I want to speak about? Where are the writers? Who's publishing the writers I want to be when I grow up, or who I want to be next? Right? If you're reading a magazine and you hate every single story in it, don't send to it, man. You don't want to be in that magazine, and they don't want you. That stuff you hate, that's what they like. Don't waste your time. See, you just you make the baby depressed when you do that. You're wasting everybody's time, and there are more octopus attacks. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Mwah. Okay, there are other shortcuts, and eventually, like you move up to like, okay, maybe you can afford 2 or 3 subscriptions a year, rotating them out, and this does something, but still there are hundreds of markets out there. One thing that kind of cuts down on time, and you can get these books from libraries. Your public library is, if you're a young writer, the public library is your friend. If you're a writer still in college, the university library is your friend. So there are annual best of volumes. Don't take it too literally. Are these literally the best stories published in a given year? It's a matter of opinion. What I'd say is they're ones that are in the conversation. The 3 most important series for Straight Lit is Best American Short Stories. Comes out every year with a different guest editor every year, and different guest editors pick different things. They have different tastes. There is the Pushcart Prizes, the best of the small presses. This will publish a different range of stories than that one. These are both from the same year. They have only a few stories overlapping. There's also the O. Henry volumes. Their best mystery stories of the year. If you're publishing in genre, there are multiple best science fiction of the year anthologies. Get them out of the library and read them. Get them out of the library and read them. They also, in those, and there's best fantasy and best fantasy and horror, etc., etc. Read them for a few reasons. Like in the case of the genre stories, those are mostly published by people who are editing important magazines, and you actually get a sense of what they like. That is important to know too. The other best of the little ones, they give you a sense of like, look at what journals those stories come from. Who is publishing? If you've been reading these volumes for a few years, and you have a few years, none of this is going to be fast. The writer's life takes a while. You're going to see the names like this. These are the places who are writing. These are the places that are publishing the stuff I really enjoy, and these are the places that are publishing stuff I think I'm not going to check out right away. If you keep seeing that you like stuff from one story, that's it. So the best of anthologies are samplers that give you a sense of what magazines are out there doing good work and a taste of what they're like, so you can see which one you want to find out more about. Yeah, same. Our best of debut anthology for class also is like this. These are places that almost all are open to unagented fiction. There are 1 or 2 that I suspect aren't. We'll talk about that in class, not on the internet. And there are a variety. Who in that book? Which stories in there did you really like? Look at the magazines that published them. That helps. Okay, quickly before nap time comes again, and I mean for her, I mean for you. Before I put you to sleep, other things that are useful to you as a writer. When you like a collection of short stories and you like the writer, look at the acknowledgments. Look at where those stories were published. So I can look in Packers drinking coffee elsewhere, and I'm going to find out, that Packers been a big deal for a long time, and almost everything is in a super high level thing. I'm going to find out that Packer got an agent very young. Okay, maybe that doesn't help me. It would be great to live that way. I don't. I can look at Link if you want to be Link when you grow up. Well, Link answers a real question. Where where are the lit magazines that are willing to use this much fantasy, and where are the fantasy magazines that are interested in this level of literariness rather than rock'em sock'em, I just built a new robot, right? So if you look in where the stories have already appeared, those are hints, those are clues, those are places to look at possible markets. Same thing, those literary journals, when you're reading them, look at the contributors notes in the back. Now sometimes if I flip through I try to get the Paris, I looked at a copy of the Paris Review, which I subscribed to before this, and a huge number of people back there, the notes in the back say most recent book is from, okay, that's a clue right there that maybe don't wait up nights to get into the Paris Review. But I can look at the back of the Santa Monica Review, very good journal, look at especially the stories you liked, but in general, where are the people publishing in this journal also publishing? Where have they been? These are clues that give you names of other kinds of journals to look at. It's also, if there's a journal you really, really want to get into, you're dying to get into, and you just can't, they just won't give you the time of day, well, look at who their contributors have, look at where their contributors have published before them. That's a clue too. Where are you going to build up your chops or get the attention that gets you into your dream journal? Okay, that's an if now, but the main thing is there are ways to find out which magazines you're most interested in. There are ways to narrow down the search without just going to a big internet list or trying to waste your time and often your money on kind of internet submission fees on like 100 places you ain't never read, which is a waste of everybody's time and especially yours, and annoys them.